Good morning. Happy Friday. So I wanted to come and do just a quick video because yesterday at work, I had a really great conversation with one of the patients that comes in that through this whole thing, we have connected and have been able to talk about truths. And she had brought up yesterday how she just wish things would hurry up and just the disclosure and truth to really start coming out. And trust me, I 100% agree with her. But we were able to just have a really good talk about how, if you really, just take a step back and think about how everything that we know, that we've been taught, all the systems forever have been manipulated and are a complete lie. So if you think back of how long that's been going on for and the stuff that we are seeing coming out already, and although it's mostly just those of us that are awake and looking at alternative news sources and digging deep into things. So yes, we're seeing things slowly happen. Things are happening every day if you're actually looking and paying attention to it. But if you think about how many things have to be exposed, how many things have to crumble, and it's a lot, right? And it's since the beginning of time, basically, right? So when you take a step back and look at it that way, a lot has actually already happened and it's happening quite quickly, right? I'm seeing more and more people awakening. I'm able to have these conversations. There's people that just, they'll say things and it's like, oh, you've started questioning things. You're starting to awaken to things. And, you know, the patient and I last night, we were able to, talk about we've both gone down pretty much all the same rabbit holes and, been exposed to all the, horrific things and the truths, and we understand, right? But we both talked about how we were able to do that within our time, right? So there were things when you look at the child trafficking, the human trafficking, what they do to children. I don't want to go into too much detail on here because I know a lot of people's channels are being taken away. But if you know, you know. If you don't, I highly suggest you look into it, what they do with their blood. I'll say that. We were able to take a step back from that when that became too much, right? When we started to look into that, we were able to take a step back from that. When I look specifically in my life, there were things that I awokened to, 13, 14 years ago before I had kids, right? I struggled with getting pregnant. So I went down that road of toxins in all of our products, whether it's products we put on our skin, products that we're cleaning with, products that we're eating, like our foods. So I went down that, fragrances, all those things. I went down that whole route. I was awakened to that. I was awakened to the medical system, especially through having children. My first daughter was born in a hospital with a doctor. I'd had doulas, two amazing doulas. But unfortunately, my first birth was with a doctor and it was horrific. And I knew I would never give birth with a doctor again. And I didn't want to be anywhere near a hospital. So I I awoken to those types of things, stopped going to medicalized doctors. I've seen naturopaths and traditional Chinese medicine doctors, like I said, for about 13 years. So there's things that I've been able to take time with. There's things that, yes, I have been awoken to for quite a while. Like my children have never had any of these, any of them. all down to like, they don't go to medicalized doctors ever. The type of foods that we eat, the products that we use. I used to have a store called Precious Earth, you know, and that was all to bring awareness to people about the products that we are using, the products that we are putting on our skin, on our babies. You know, I sold things like essential oils. Back then, stainless steel and reusable stuff was like not a thing. Trying to like expose people to why you would want to use something that's reusable opposed to like plastic, opposed to being disposable. Like I sold cloth diapers, baby carriers. I practiced attachment parenting, so I was big into teaching people about baby wearing, about co-sleeping, extended breastfeeding, you know, all those types of things. My store revolved around educating people about earth-friendly products and products that are better for you and your whole entire family. So, yeah, I look back, we had such a great, you know, little conversation while she was, you know, I was checking her out, and it was just like, yes, as much as we really just want everything to be exposed and out into the open for everybody to see, right? Because a lot of the things that we're seeing, even, it's not even really out there, or it is, and people just aren't quite grasping what's happening. You know, seeing all these people step down, all these people arrested for like pedophilia, pornography, all these things, like the fall of Hollywood. People still think Hollywood's a thing, you know? So if all of that were to like come out just like boom, it's in your face there, and people didn't have time to like um you know, actually like pull back from it and take it in as they do. I mean, you still see people that are wearing these, right? Not very many, thankfully, now, but people that are still scared, right? They're still believing in this whole thing that they've said was a thing for the last 3 years. Again, I can't really say too many words here on YouTube. So, you know, when you take a step back and you just realize like that would be really shocking to people's systems, right? Like it would be overwhelming to hear of everything, because it literally is a collapse of everything we've known. History, the medical system, the food system, the banking, financial system, the school system is a huge one, right? And, you know, like basically all the systems, religion is a huge, huge one. And I know that ruffles feathers for a lot of you, because there are a lot of like religious and Christian people within the truther community, but they don't want to actually see that, you know, the Bible and the things that they've been taught, or we've all been taught, you know, these are things that I was taught growing up, and these are things that I believed in. Well, to a certain extent, I always question certain things, but, you know, that this is another thing that has been manipulated and, you know, used to control us, you know, so there are still certain things that people aren't willing to go down, right? They're not willing to look at, you know, I mean, I still have people being like, well, why would our government do that to us? Like, why? Or, you know, when I talk to them about like, the pedophilia and all the things that they do, the child trafficking, you know, within the politics, within Hollywood, all of it, right? Like it's everywhere. And people still are like, no, are you sure? I think you're just like going a little too far there, right? Like people aren't willing to go there. So if you think about like if all the truth was just exposed, shown to us all at once, or if they didn't slowly start peeling apart things, it would be too much for people, right? And this is again where we really need to try to have compassion for people. And we ourselves, those of us who are already like awake to things, we need to take this time and to really go inward, to really ground ourselves, right? Because things around us might start getting really crazy and people may start like losing it, right? And having like a really hard time as they start awakening, right? Like where I work in the, you know, the medical alternative, traditional medical system, I guess, you know, not in the westernized medical system. And I mean, not a day goes by that we are not seeing people injured by these, right? Um, so it's people are awakening in a way that, you know, it is really sad because they're awakening because either themselves or their loved ones have been injured or sadly have, you know, left the earth plane, right? So people are being shaken awake, right? And this is where I spoke about like months ago about how like it isn't our job to wake other people up, right? Like we can share our truths, we can share information and plant those seeds, right? Because you never know what you know, when you share something or when you talk about something or you ask questions, I always find it way better now to ask questions and get people to try to think about things. You never know when that's just gonna like click for somebody, right? They'll just like click something in them or that seed is planted, right? And you may see them like down the road and all of a sudden they're totally thinking different ways and they're you know, they've been awakened to different things. So but it's not our job, right? That we've all come here on a soul contract, right? So some of us agreed, you know, before we even came here to take these, right? And some of us agreed to like still be doing this and just like you know, in divine timing, in our timing, if you are meant to awaken to things, you will, right? It goes back to when you look at the universal law, you can't oppose things on other people, right? Free will. So that's where like people do really need to come to their own truths, right? And their own awakening in their own time. So yes, we are seeing things come out very slowly. It is still not really in the mainstream media for those that are actually still watching or listening to that. But if you look slowly, it is, right? Like it is, there are bits and pieces that are being put out there that people are enough that people are actually starting to question things and willing to like have these conversations, willing to take this off and not get another one of these. And you know, so it's like if you stop and you know and just start thinking about like, okay, what would this be like for those people that are still living in fear, right? Fear of what they were told this was going to be and what was going to happen. And if you didn't get this, what was going to happen to you and all these things, right? And trusting in your politicians and your banking system and your school system and your medical system. And, you know, you haven't done any type of like prepping food wise, or you're not growing your own garden, or you know, if you think about being those type of people in that kind of situation, that is a really rude and scary awakening if it all came at once. So I just encourage you guys to continue to have compassion, continue sharing your truths and the information as it comes out, you know, but just to really live and go out from that heart center and that just live in a way that you look at others as, you know, as yourself. We are all one, right? And that's where like we really need to try to focus on and remember that we are all connected, all of us, the animals, the plants, the humans, all of us are connected. Everything is energy, you know, everything down to like crystal, like everything, right? So, just, you know, really ground yourself right now. be outside as much as you can, meditate, you know, really try to go inward, try to center yourself, look for different affirmations. I have affirmations like all over my house. I have ones that you know, that I do on a daily basis. I try, um, do things, you know, that are gonna help you, right? Like this is a time to really be like focusing on yourself, letting go of the things that no longer serve you and your highest self, you know, taking care of your vessel, your body, right? Like what are you putting into your body? What are you putting on your body? What are you having around your body? Like all the way down to music, you know? I always, or at least I try, I shouldn't use the word always, but I try to have, you know, either binaural beats or different frequency hertz music playing while I'm at work, while I'm driving, at home. Even if we're doing something, it's in the background, like playing, right? Um, you know, there's different things that I personally do, you know, the meditation, exercise, you know, I definitely, that's an area that I really need to work on more, but exercise is a huge one. You know, I've always been really connected to crystals, essential oils, so I use those. I'm outside now that you know, I mean, in Canada, we're very limited to nice weather and being able to spend outside. So I am out there as much as I can, you know, trying to ground myself, be around nature, be with your pets, right? Um, and you know, just whatever it is that you need to do. Water is a huge one, and make sure that you are drinking like filtered water. And if you're ever somewhere where you can't, you know, even at home, I've got crystals in my water, from one of May Levy's activations that we did. It was one of her light languages printouts of art that she did that is on the water to cleanse the water, so I've got that on there. But you know, even if I'm not at home and I'm having water, I always just say, you know, I bless it and I cleanse it like before I take it in. Do that with your food. When I'm watering my plants, if I'm not using the rainwater and I have to use my hose, I do the same thing. I cleanse it and I activate it. So these are all things, just remembering how truly powerful you are, how powerful your mind is, how powerful your body is, and wherever you put your energy and your intention, that is where energy is going to flow, right? So, you know, think about the world that you want to live in, you know, having the people in your world that you want to have in there, having, you know, all the abundance that is there for us, that is rightfully ours, right? So, and just again, just to really go out in compassion, to love one another, and just to be there for those people, even if they are people that, you know, over these last 3 years abandoned you or attacked you. You may be the one that they come to and that they start questioning things to, because they remembered that you know, were one of those people that they thought were crazy, but that you stood up to this. So you may be one that they reach out to, right? Maybe not, but maybe so, right? So just have that compassion and understanding that we all are in this together. We truly are, you know. I for a long time I really hated hearing that, but in when you look at it in the collective consciousness and in, you know, in the world, we really are all together. We are in this all together, and what affects one of us does affect all of us. So, you know, just really try to remember this. Try to remember your awakening process and how that was for you, and just to have that compassion and love for those around us. I love you all. I need to get to work now, and I hope you have an absolute fabulous Friday. We'll chat soon.